So we all know credit cards can be good and we know they can be bad. Effectively, it all comes down to why you want a credit card and then how you use it. And this video is going to focus on the why. I'll go through the different types of credit cards that can be beneficial, that can be useful to you for the next year. These are the top ones right now. Obviously, that can change over time. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe, get the notification bell so my monthly updates will take you through any kind of changes that do take place. But I will take you through the best cashback and reward credit cards today. I will take you through the best balance transfer credit card, the best purchase credit card, the best money transfer credit card, the best credit building credit card, and the best credit card for using overseas. If you are looking for one of those things to help you earn money or save money, then these are the first ones to look at. But really importantly, I will take you through those cards, but this is more important than probably most other things. When you apply for these credit cards, don't go straight to the website. Don't go straight to the Barclaycard or the Amex or whoever it is site and just click apply. You want to do something called an eligibility check first of all. This is vital, right? Really, really important. Because if you just apply blindly and if you get rejected, that is bad for your credit score. Because if you're rejected, then you'll try another credit card. Well, your chance of getting that would already be reduced. And if you get rejected for that one, it gets bad again. And that can affect all sorts of things, particularly your credit report, your credit score will drop down. So you want to go via, I think, an eligibility checker on a comparison site. You can do eligibility checks directly with many credit card companies. But I think, first of all, go to a comparison site. There are a few decent ones out there. They might not necessarily give you all the options, but they'll give you a decent range, what's on the market. And you put in your details. They check your credit report on a soft check, so it doesn't appear on your credit report. And you will then get a chance out of 10 of being accepted for different cards. And fundamentally, I would say, although I would tell you about the best cards in a minute, you might find that the better card for you is what isn't one of those. It's one that gives you a higher chance of acceptance. So the best, let's say, balance transfer credit card, the longest transfer card, you might only get a 4 out of 10 score on that, let's say. But if there's one that's pre-approved that maybe has a slightly shorter time or maybe has a slightly higher balance transfer fee, if you're pre-approved for that, you'll know you're going to get it. That might be the best option for you. So do that. The other fundamentals I'll talk about before we get into those different cards are these kind of basic rules of using a credit card. First of all, only use them for spending you can already afford. Okay, this is about substituting your spending. If you really need extra cash, there are different things you should be doing to find that money. Secondly, you've got to make sure you pay off at least the minimum every single month. Okay, at least the minimum. And this is one that's been set up. The bank will tell you who it is. The credit card company will tell you what that is. You can set up a direct debit for that. Because if you don't do that, it will go down as a default. Not only will you get charged penalty fees, but you also find that impacting your credit report as well. But ideally, you want to pay more than the minimum. You want to pay as much as you possibly can. And ideally, that should be the entire balance every single month. So all your spending on there, you clear it completely. And if you do clear it completely, you also won't get charged any interest. So when I talk through these cards in a moment, I go through my top picks. I will not be talking about interest rates. I will not be saying how much it's going to cost you if you don't pay it off, because I don't want you to get charged interest at all. If you think you are going to use a credit card and not clear it completely every single month, obviously not accepting those 0% cards, which are meant to be sort of delayed over a longer period, then you want to go for a credit card which has the lowest interest rate. Forget all the others. You want the lowest one. And there are some cards which will give a special kind of very, very low rate for some things, particularly some balance transfers. But ideally, you want to avoid that completely. Right, that's the rules out of the way. Let's get into the first of my picks. And these are the best reward and cashback credit cards for this year. Now, actually, my top card for cashback isn't a credit card anymore. It is a debit card. It's the Chase bank account. And you can check out my review of that if you haven't already. I will link to that below. That one will give you 1% cashback for 12 months, which is better than you're going to get pretty much elsewhere. However, cashback credit cards do still have a role to play. And this is particularly ones with American Express if you haven't had one in the last 2 years in your name. If that is the case, then you are entitled to a welcome bonus. And these welcome bonuses could be pretty healthy. They're pretty nice. So I quite like them. The best one for me is the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card. This one is a free card in the first year, but then it is charging you from year 2 onwards. So you only really want it for the first year and cancel it in year 2 and maybe move to a different card. But in that first year, get this card for free. And if you spend £3,000 in the first 3 months, you will get a 20,000 point bonus. These are Amex reward points. Now, that in itself is worth maybe £100 if you swapped it for a gift voucher. But if you swap them into Avios points and then swap them into Nectar points, so you can use them at Sainsbury's, Argos, and eBay. So long as you shop at one of those places more than once a year, you'll be okay. that is suddenly going to be worth 184 quid. There's 20,000 points plus you get a point per pound spent, so another 3,000. So 23,000 points equals 184 quid. That is the best ongoing offer that's out there. You cannot beat that. Now, there will be from times throughout the year, there are boosted ones, and I will talk about those in my regular monthly updates. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you get all those updates about those cards and any other kind of credit card deals that come along. But at the moment, that one is the best one for new American Express customers or haven't had a card in 2 years. You cannot beat that value, £184 back. Now, the caveat here is you have to spend £3,000 in 3 months. If you spend £2,999.99, you do not get the bonus. And that brings me on to my runner-up in terms of the best cashback credit cards. It's also an American Express one, but this is the American Express Platinum Cashback Credit Card. This one doesn't have a kind of level sort of threshold you have to meet to get the bonus. You will just get this welcome offer on whatever you spend between 0 and 2.5 grand. Now, obviously, to get the most out of this offer, you want to spend that 2.5 grand in 3 months if you can, but it doesn't matter if you spend less because you're still going to get 5% cash back, a massive 5% cash back. Now, if you do spend 2.5 grand in 3 months, that's £125 that you'll get, which is obviously about 50 quid, 60 quid less than what you'd get from the gold card, but you've got that flexibility if you don't think you'll spend the full amount. Now, this one does come with a fee, £25 every single year, but you can avoid that if you get a referral code or if you go via a cashback site. And again, I'll link below to a place you can go to on my website, becleveryourcash.com, which has the latest referral and cashback deals for that. So you can wipe that out for the first year at least. Now, in terms of ongoing rates, that one will pay you 0.75% on every pound you spend. If you spend 10 grand in a year, it goes up to 1.25%. But again, I wouldn't be using this one as an ongoing card, nor that Preferred Rewards Gold credit card, because I think that Chase one is a better bet. Now, very quickly, obviously, you might want a cashback or reward credit card that isn't American Express. In that case, you've got a few different options here. Overall, the kind of general winner here is the Barclaycard Rewards credit card. This one will pay 0.25% on any pound you spend anywhere, not just in the UK, but worldwide. We'll come back to that in a minute. So that is a good one overall. Not as much cashback as you're going to get with Chase, not as much cashback as you'll get with Amex, but it's there as a backup if you want it. Possibly slightly better than that though is if you do shop at a specific retailer. So Amazon has an Amazon Platinum Cashback credit card. This one will give you 1.5% back on your purchases at Amazon if you are a Prime member. If you're not a Prime member and you don't spend much on Amazon, then forget it. It's not worth it. But otherwise, it's a good one to think about. Or you could look at the John Lewis and Partners credit card if you regularly shop at John Lewis or Waitrose. That will give you 1.25% back on every pound you spend at John Lewis and Waitrose, give you the equivalent of 0.25% everywhere else. So it's on a par with that Barclaycard one, but that extra boost if you shop at those retailers. Now, there are similar ones if you shop regularly at, say, Sainsbury's or at M&S, but I think they're ones not to worry about so much. But anyway, they're the kind of main ones for cashback and rewards. Let's have a look now at the best. I mentioned them a second ago, overseas spending credit cards. And again, a credit card isn't your best bet here. It's that Chase card, again, because you get that cashback at home and abroad at 1%. Or you can look at banks like Starling or Monzo or Virgin Money, which also won't charge you to spend overseas. There can be a few limits on how much you can get out of cash machines depending on the cards. But overall, they are going to be, I think, much, much better ways to spend overseas. But if you absolutely want a credit card to use abroad, it's that Barclaycard Rewards credit card I mentioned just now, because that 0.25% cashback, as I mentioned, is at home and abroad. It is fee-free for spending and fee-free for cash withdrawals. Some of the credit cards will charge you interest on cash withdrawals. Now, normally you wouldn't get cash out with a credit card. Certainly shouldn't do that in the UK. But if you are abroad and you have one of those cards, maybe a Halifax Clarity card or something, it's okay to do that. Just make sure you do pay off in full, as you should with every other card, ideally as soon as possible to reduce how much interest is added on. But anyway, I would just stick with that Barclaycard Reward if you can get it. Now, sticking with spending, let's look at 0% purchase credit cards. These are really, really useful if you are thinking of buying something which is pretty pricey, pretty expensive, and you don't necessarily have the money right now, but you know you will do. You know that over the coming months, you'll be able to kind of spread that cost out. That could be a new phone, it could be a sofa, it could be a holiday, whatever it is. As long as you know you can afford it, you could look at a 0% purchase credit card, which will give you, for a certain duration, 0% interest. That's what the name says. That's what it does. Now, these ones, ideally with these, obviously there is that minimum repayment you should be making, but I personally would pay off as much as I can every single month. So let's say you borrow, I don't know, you spend £1,000 on that card and you've got it for 10 months. Ideally, you want to be putting £100 away every single month. Now, actually, in reality, you can get much, much longer 0% periods than that, but that's kind of give you the idea of what I think you should do, because when that 0% period that ends, when it finishes, if you've still got debt on there, if you haven't cleared out what your spending was, that interest rate can be pretty high and you will be spending a lot of money. So it's not worth using one if you're not going to clear it by the end. Now, my top pick here is the Barclaycard Platinum credit card. This one will give you up to 24 months. You might not get the full 24 months, but that is the longest one you can get. It's also my pick because there are a couple of extra promos thrown in on top. You can get £20 cash back right now. This runs until the 8th of February if you spend £250 in 90 days. So it's a nice little sweetener. After that date, it's well worth having a look at Quidco and Top Cashback because they often also have a similar amount of money, maybe 18, 19, maybe 20 quid, maybe even more on offer if you apply via them. Just remember to do that eligibility check before you do actually click apply. And also with Barclaycard, should have mentioned it before for the rewards card a moment ago, you can get up to 5 months of Apple streaming services for free. So it could be Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple News, all these other ones. That's a nice little extra thrown in on top. Now, obviously, lots of other options. So again, go via that eligibility search, have a look, see what other ones are available for you, and do check out for the extra special offers and cashback that might kind of give you the choice of one over the other, might make it slightly more appealing. Now, let's stick with 0% cards. Let's look at a balance transfer credit card. I've done a whole video on this you might want to check out if you're not familiar with them. But these are really, really, really fantastic if you have an existing credit card debt. Because what you do is you move that debt from your existing card into your new card, and you do not pay any interest on that debt for a set amount of time. And that's fantastic because that gives you the opportunity for every single penny you put onto that card to clear that debt. It is just clearing the debt. It is not going towards interest as well. So it means you'll clear that debt much, much faster. Now, these balance transfer credit cards often come with a transfer fee. So you do have to factor that in. Normally it's around sort of 2.5%, 3% for those longest cards, but it can go all the way down to 0. What you're doing there is you're compromising how long you've got the card at 0% for. Now that might be fine. It might be you don't need 2 years or 3 years at 0%. It might be you're absolutely fine with, say, 18 months or 20 months. And if you can clear the debt in that time, don't pay a transfer fee, you'll be saving even more money. And in fact, that's why my top pick for this one isn't the longest card out there, but it is, I think, the cheapest one and best one out there for you, the Santander Everyday No Balance Transfer Credit Card. This will give you 18 months at 0% for that balance you transfer over, and it will charge you 0 to transfer it across. You can also get £30 cash back via the likes of Top Cashback and Quidco. So you're saving money on that transfer fee and you're getting paid if you're accepted for that card. Definitely think it's worth thinking about that. Do the maths, just work out how much it would cost you to transfer it over, how much that fee, that difference would make to you in terms of that length of 0%. If you think you can clear your debt in a short amount of time, that's well worth considering. If you do want to get just the longest possible deal out there, then right now that is from Virgin Money, and that is 35 months. So nearly 3 years where that debt will be at 0%. So if you have got a hefty debt and you're struggling to get anything off that every single month, that gives you 3 years to get rid of it. And that could be really, really appealing. Now the transfer fee here is 2.94%. So just make sure you factor that in. But even so, that's going to be a lot less than you're currently paying in interest on those cards. Now, the last 0% card I want to talk about is something called a money transfer credit card. These work in a very similar way to balance transfer credit cards, but what you're doing here is instead of moving the debt from one card to another, you're actually moving this new balance from this new credit card into your bank account. And then when it's in your bank account, you can use it as you wish. Particularly useful if you've got an overdraft you're struggling with, or it may be a catalogue debt, which you can't do a balance transfer for, or maybe any other loan. So you do that, transfer it over. These are much shorter 0% periods, okay? So they won't be anywhere near what you're getting with the purchase or balance transfer credit cards, and the fees are generally a bit higher as well. The best one, there aren't many of these actually out there. They're actually both Tesco Bank, Virgin Money, and the best one I would say here is MBNA. They're kind of the only places you can go for this. Again, do an eligibility check to find out what you'd get. This one offers up to 18 months, and depending on your credit score, your transfer fee would be either 2.99% or 3.49%. So that one hopefully will help you reduce those debts. Now, the last lot of credit cards to talk about are the credit building credit cards. These are really useful if you need to, maybe because you've never had any credit before, so your credit score is really low, so you're starting from scratch, or maybe you've had problems and you need to try and build it back up. Essentially what a credit building credit card does is it allows you, has much sort of lower criteria. So it's more likely to be able to get one of these than the other cards I've mentioned just now. And then when you've got it, you do your everyday spending, your normal spending on there. So you've got some on there and then you clear it. As with all credit cards, you can clear it completely every single month and then start that again. And over time, that's going to show the credit reference agencies that you are responsible with credit. That will boost your score and then you're likely to be eligible for some of those other cards I mentioned before. Again, I've got a whole video that goes into more detail on this. So if you are interested in that, make sure you do check that out. I will link to that below. Now, the best one here, as it is with all the other credit cards, but particularly for this one, is the one you are most likely to be accepted for. And that probably means it won't have any benefits or any rewards or anything like that. But that's not why you're getting it, okay? So do the eligibility search, see what pops along. And if all things are equal, if you can get one of the reward cards that I mentioned before, then fantastic, go for it. But if you can't, if it's going to be another one that's much, much lower down, but there's a range of those available, I would look for ones that maybe give you a nice little sweetener on top. The best one of these is probably the Amazon Classic credit card. This will give you a £20 voucher right now. Sometimes it's as low as 10, sometimes up to 30 quid, but around that 20 quid mark is what you'll get if you're accepted. Or you could look at the Barclaycard Forward credit card. If you apply for this one via Top Cashback or Quidco, then hopefully you'll get around £19, £20 in cashback as well. So they all do the same thing. So people ask me what's the best first credit card. Any credit card you can get is the best one, as long as you don't get charged interest, as long as you clear that balance every single month. So that's it for my best credit cards. I'm Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Here are some more videos you might find useful.